Richard Evans, a name that would later send chills down the spines of investigators. A name unknown to Daniel Harper on the night of June 23, 2011, a night like any other, until it was not. A man walked home, following the same path he had taken for years. A shortcut, a familiar road, safe, or so he believed. He had no idea that someone had been waiting for this exact moment, that his every step had been watched, his routine memorized, his fate sealed, and by the end of this video, I will reveal the true reason behind his murder. Some crimes are born out of passion, some out of revenge, but the most chilling ones, they are planned, calculated, executed with a precision that leaves no traceno, warning, no clue, just an empty space where a person once existed. The kind of crime that lingers in the dark, unnoticed, until one small mistake brings it all crashing down. This is one of those stories. This is not just another crime story. This is about a murder so precise, so cold, that for years it remained a ghost among unsolved cases. But tonight, I will take you into the shadows, where the truth still lingers. It was an ordinary evening, or so it seemed. The town rested under the heavy weight of the night, the air thick with summer humidity, streetlights flickered, and the distant barking of a stray dog echoed through the alleyways. Somewhere in the quiet, a man walked home, unaware that his fate had already been decided. His name was Daniel Harper, a 32-year-old accountant with a simple routine. Work, home, dinner, bed. He had no known enemies, no debts, and no troubled past. To everyone around him, he was just another man living a quiet life. But someone had been watching, studying, waiting for the perfect moment. The killer had spent weeks following Daniel's every move. He knew which nights he worked late, which streets he took to avoid traffic, and the exact moment he would step onto that deserted path leading home. That night, the plan was set into motion. Daniel turned the corner onto Maplewood Avenue, his usual shortcut. The road was empty, the streetlights barely illuminating the cracked pavement. Then footsteps, slow at first, then faster. Before Daniel could react, a gloved hand clamped over his mouth, yanking him backward into the shadows. Panic surged through him, his muffled screams swallowed by the night. A sharp pain tore through his chest, once, twice. His body convulsed, hands grasping at the wound as warm blood soaked through his shirt. His knees buckled, the world around him blurred. The last thing he saw was a pair of cold, calculating eyes staring down at him before everything faded to black. The killer exhaled, steadying his pulse. The plan had been executed flawlessly. No witnesses, no sounds, no struggle that would attract attention. He quickly checked for signs of life. Nothing. The job was done, but murder was only the first step. The real challenge? Making sure no one ever found out. The body had to disappear. He worked quickly, dragging Daniel's lifeless form toward a black SUV parked nearby. He had covered the seats with plastic, prepared for the mess. Within minutes, Daniel was wrapped tightly in a tarp, his body stuffed into the trunk. The weapon? Disassembled, its pieces scattered across different locations on the drive out of town. The killer drove for miles, deep into the woods where no one ventured after dark. The spot had been chosen carefully. No cameras, no passing cars, just endless trees and a river that swallowed secrets. He heaved the body over the edge, watching as the current pulled it under. Within seconds, Daniel Harper ceased to exist. The cleanup was meticulous. The killer wiped down his car, burned his clothes, and even scrubbed under his nails. Every detail had been accounted for. It was supposed to be the perfect crime, but there is no such thing. A single mistake, a microscopic detail overlooked, a strand of hair, a partial footprint near the scene. The police would not have had much to go on, if not for one thing. A surveillance camera. A single frame caught the killer's SUV passing near the crime scene that night. The image was grainy, but the license plate partially visible. The investigation moved quickly. A missing persons report was filed the next morning when Daniel failed to show up for work. His colleagues were worried he never skipped a day. The last place he was seen, leaving the office, heading home, but he never arrived. Police combed the area, questioning shop owners, checking cameras, and searching for any clue. Days passed, Then weeks. The case grew colder. The killer believed he had won. Then a break. An officer reviewing security footage noticed something, a vehicle near the crime scene, captured only for a second. They traced the partial plate. It led them to a man named Richard Evans, a 38-year-old former construction worker. No criminal record, no known connection to Daniel Harper, just an ordinary man, or so they thought. Detectives knocked on Richard's door. He answered, calm and collected. "I do not know any Daniel Harper," he said. But they were not convinced. They watched him closely. His mannerisms, his shifting gaze, the way his hands fidgeted. Something was not right. Days later, police obtained a warrant. A thorough search of Richard's home revealed something chilling, a notebook. Inside, pages filled with details about Daniel, his routine, his habits, even his favorite coffee shop. And then a confession, not in words, but in a sketch. A rough drawing of Maplewood Avenue, the exact spot where Daniel was attacked. But that was not the most disturbing part. Underneath the sketch was another name, a new target. The pattern was clear. This was not Richard's first time, and it would not have been his last. Police found more. An old storage locker registered under a fake name. Inside, souvenirs, watches, wallets, small personal items from other victims. But no bodies, no official records of missing persons linked to him. The darkness in Richard's mind ran deeper than they had imagined. Under interrogation, he remained silent for hours. Then finally he spoke. What he said sent shivers down the detectives' spines. "I wanted to know what it felt like," he whispered, "to take a life, to watch the light fade from someone's eyes." This was not about money. It was not about revenge. It was something far darker. A crime committed simply for the thrill of it, a man who had no reason, other than the twisted satisfaction of ending another human's existence. Even behind bars, one question remained. How many more were there? To this day, authorities still believe there are more victims. Some secrets remain buried, and some monsters, even behind bars, continue to haunt the world they left behind. And if you want to hear more horrifying, real-life mysteries, do not forget to like, subscribe, and follow Rowan Days for more stories that will keep you up at night.